All right, so that's it for all the things that I have to talk about like bad news. Why don't we talk about some good news? Is there any good news in here this week? Oh crap. There's no good news? Yep, it's all bad news. All right, Luke, want to pick some bad news?
I think the Twitter stuff is good news.
It's good news. Okay.
I think so.
I'll allow it. Defend yourself. Defend your stance here.
I think entertainment's good. What do you mean? Come on. It's been so fun. You can't say it hasn't been fun. No one can say it hasn't been fun. It's been so entertaining.
I think some of Twitter's staff could probably argue that this hasn't been fun.
Okay. That's probably fair. That's probably fair. I think they're going to be fine. I've taken this case before. I know it's a lot. A lot of companies are firing right now. I also know that a lot of companies are hiring right now. And I know that scouting is still active. So I know this doesn't solve the problem. Losing your job freaking sucks, even if lots of people are offering you one. But I do hope that people don't get too discouraged by it and don't lose hope. And honestly, it doesn't look like they really are. I don't think they seem to mind too much.
They seem to be memeing right back to the meme king of Twitter. Yeah.
This is a strong. A lot of them are resigning more than anything.
Yeah.
And taking that severance. If I remember correctly, it's 3 months or something. Pretty good. I'm rather certain that skilled developers and other staff at Twitter are going to be able to land fantastic jobs in a 3-month window.
Nobody's hiring. But then again, periods like this tend to be periods of startup explosion. Because all of a sudden, startups can afford fucking talent again for a change. Like
the people that worked at this company that know the people that they liked working with and were good at their jobs, whatever it was.
They're going to go start stuff up.
Pockets of people, and they're going to start stuff up.
And so they've got some severance to do it with.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt.
Severance to do
it doesn't hurt.
A lot of people at Twitter had really fantastic total compensation packages and are probably doing pretty well. You might want to move out of the Bay Area to make that money go a little bit further. But I think people are pretty well set up to have some time to find somewhere new to work or to start something up with some friends or do whatever they need. Also, the no one's hiring thing is not true.
We're hiring.
We're hiring. Other places are hiring. There's the Twitters of the world are not hiring right now.
Holy
shit. And your total comp might go down. What?
Have you seen how many positions we're hiring? I was like memeing a little bit, but we are hiring.
We're hiring.
Okay, we'll have to talk about that in a minute. Sorry, Luke, go on.
But yeah, your total comp might go down. You're gonna be okay. And you might be able to work on something less soul sucking. So maybe that'll be good. Or if you're just totally your total comp isn't going to go down and you'll just go somewhere and be awesome anyways. I don't know, but I think people are going to be okay. And I am enjoying the entertainment, often served up by now ex-Twitter employees, because man, they have been
spicy.
Yeah, ready to go to town. It's been really entertaining. I'm not surprised. Every time that Elon tweets out like total active users is higher than ever, I'm like, yeah, this makes sense, because I've honestly never been on Twitter more than I am right now.
Yeah,
because watching the world burn is just so great. It's nice and warm. It's cozy. Grab some popcorn. Have a good time.
So do you want to walk us kind of through it this week in Twitter? Oh wait, I think Twit is already taken. There's a different tech show that calls themselves that. Okay, we're gonna have to go with something else. This last 7 days in Twitter, TLSDIT.
I think doing a summary of this that isn't like half a day long is going to be ineffective. We'll do what we can.
Okay,
but yeah, it's been wild.
Start with Sunday.
Twitter blue. Yeah. Okay. Sunday. Twitter employees. Corrects Elon on Twitter. Which one was this? Because there was multiple.
This was Eric Fraunhofer. Forgive my pronunciation.
This was the most talked about one, as far as I know.
Yeah.
He was corrected by this guy, and then someone's like, "Oh, this person should be fired," and then Elon responded with, "They have been let go," or whatever.
That tweet is gone.
Oh.
Shut up. I wonder if it was, maybe legal exposure to fire people for tweeting. Like, oh, man. I
wouldn't be surprised.
Do you know how
there's got to be some form of problem with that?
I mean, I can talk for ages about the challenges around dismissing employees. It is not as simple as like, especially if you're not in an at-will location. So I don't know if our non-American friends might not be familiar with the term at-will. At-will employment means that an employer can just terminate you from your job, no notice, nothing. But that doesn't exist in most of the world, as far as I can tell. Actually, I shouldn't say most of the world, because by population, most of the world probably is an at-will employment place. But certainly not most of the Western world. So like in Canada, for example, you can't just fire someone. You have to follow procedures. You have to pay severance. You have to make sure that all the loose ends are tied up. And if they believe that they have been wrongfully dismissed, like, for example, due to discrimination, then they can absolutely turn around and litigate, right? And if there is anywhere that wrongful termination suits are going to happen, it is in the good old U.S. of California, okay? Or the United California of America, whatever California's country is going to be called when it eventually secedes.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to point out now that you said that, California has more people than all of Canada. Boom, let's keep going.
Yeah, I know, right? When I found that out, I was like, what? I know. So that's hilarious. Like the amount of legal jeopardy that Elon seems to be putting himself in throughout this entire process.
I was just going to say, I've not just with firing employees.
No,
compliance
I
issues
know.
Just literally everywhere in the world.
I know. And I've had multiple people tell me, no, this is a 4D chess game. It's 4D chess. He's tanking it for some reason. There's a reason. And I'm sitting here going, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think it was 4D chess. I think the reason why he committed to buying it was like ego issues. I don't think that was 4D chess. I do think he has a plan. I'm not necessarily saying it's like a good one or it's going to work or anything like that. But I think people going with the angle of like he knows absolutely nothing. He's just a complete idiot, and he has no plan. I don't think that's accurate. I think he has a plan.
Apparently, California is at will.
Whoa!
I did not know that. How do these things work then? So I guess it's at will, but you can still, because absolutely there are suits. So
we also don't even necessarily know where this person was from. There's Twitter employees all over the world.
That's true.
Okay, last WAN show. Was it last WAN show?
Might have been.
I think so. When I was in Serbia, when I got on that plane after I hung up, there was a Twitter employee getting on the plane.
Oh, not going back to work, I don't think.
I didn't even tell you about this. They were wearing a Twitter official backpack, and I was like, whoa. And they're like, yeah, don't know if I'm going to have a job soon, so going home.
Oh, man.
Didn't have a long conversation, but thought it was pretty interesting. But yeah, there's problems because there's people all over the world. Like there's huge termination issues with, if I remember correctly, it was Ireland. How he terminated a bunch of people there was like totally not okay. I don't remember. This is not in our notes, but
okay. California is at will, but there are retaliation protections, layoff notifications, discrimination protections, etc. that need to be followed. So I guess I misunderstood at will. I understood
retaliation
at will.
Protection.
Yeah, I understood at will to mean basically that you have no protection whatsoever. You definitely, it sounds like, have at least some protection. You can't just be terminated for like having a particular color of skin then, or whatever the case may be. All right. Yeah, there's technically at will, but there's always exceptions. People are clarifying. I mean, that's the thing about America. It's so, because it's, as far as I can tell, basically like over 50 little tiny countries, all with their own special rules, but like then they're like combined somehow, and it's not quite clear exactly how. Like, let me tell you guys, tax compliance in the US as a foreign entity is a nightmare. As far as I can tell, the way that other companies are doing it is they just aren't doing it. Like at our scale, they just aren't bothering.
That's including American companies. You said as a foreign company, it's still a nightmare for local American companies, and a lot of them just don't do it until states or counties or whatever get mad at them about it, and then they
giving the birds a talking to.
Yeah, they're getting too into it. They enjoy the conversation. But okay, we're still on Sunday.
Sunday.
We're still on Sunday. Monday and Tuesday, more Twitter shenanigans. They delay Blue until the end of the month.
Yeah, the
relaunch.
The
whole thing just goes away. You can't do it anymore. The whole conversation from the previous week just gone, completely gone.
Does someone have a live?
They figured out.
Does someone have a live stream of a head of lettuce that they started the day that Elon took over Twitter? Like, is that happening?
Yeah.
I'm going to find it. I'm going to find it
with whoever the Prime Minister of the UK was, and then the lettuce won, which was pretty epic. So Blue's gone. The whole thing everyone was talking about is over. I suspect that's probably because, they cost multiple companies billions of dollars. It's a minor issue. There's a bunch of Slack channel problems. Apparently, a bunch of the engineers that came over from some of Elon's other companies are used to using Teams. And I guess in Teams, newly created channels are private by default. This whole thing... Someone was writing this, and I was like, this is weird, because it's very obvious when you're creating Slack channels if they're public or not. But,
right.
Apparently they use Teams. They're private by default, so they created Slack channels, and they were public, and other people joined them and were able to see what they were talking about. And they were talking trash about, like, a bunch of employees and talking about who they were going to fire and stuff like that.
Oh,
so that was apparently just, like, a huge nightmare. They privatized the channels afterwards. They did all this stuff, but, like, people had the transcripts of everything that was in there, and it was like, rough.
Yeah. And I only learned about the site Blind recently. I didn't have any reason to have. You don't know Blind? Okay, it's actually a super cool concept. It's a social network. It's a social network that's for professionals. It's kind of like LinkedIn, except they validate that you actually work wherever you say that you work, and only other people who work there can contact you, and the whole thing's anonymous. So it's an opportunity for people to compare salaries or talk about workplace discrimination or, exchange information like what you're talking about. So screenshots like this are going to be spreading like absolute wildfire in Blind, completely behind the scenes, inaccessible to anyone who doesn't actually work at Twitter. And they do periodic validation. So they'll send an email to your work email. Hey, do you still actually work there? And then they'll cut you off of it if you don't actually work there. So they discourage you from sharing any identifying information. It's a super cool concept. And so as far as I can tell, Blind has been experiencing an absolute surge in popularity and just has this enormous profile compared to what it had before because of how public and how explosive this meltdown has been.
Really funny that Twitter on Blind is rated more highly currently than Amazon and Intel.
Well, there's still time for that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's deteriorating. Sorry. But yeah, so Twitter Blue goes down. Elon tells managers to scrape Slack channels for criticism. And then I have heard that after that, people who criticized him were fired. One of the problems with a lot of this stuff,
it's all hearsay.
A lot of it, including this one, is there's hearsay all over the place. And what I have found with a ton of this, and I want to add allegedlys to before I started talking, add allegedlys to after, and add them all the way through. Because what I have found many, many, many times with stories coming out of Twitter is that things are partially true. Things are only partially true.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the remote work stuff. It's that sort of happened. He did call people back into work, but it wasn't quite exactly the way people were describing it. It wasn't everyone, no matter what, always, blah, blah, blah. We especially heard this about, I think it was Dublin, because people figured out that there like literally was not enough currently vacant housing in Dublin to fill the amount of people that he called in. But then it was clarified, like, that's not what happened.
Right.
It was like, if you have the ability to, you need to. But if you don't have the ability to, then it's not expected. Like, that's totally different than you have to no matter what. So it's like, I don't know. Things are still happening. They're very drastic, but they're not potentially. Sometimes they are exactly as drastic as they seem, right? He publicly fired someone on Twitter. That happened. We saw that happen.
Yep.
we have facts for that, right? But not everything is quite that cut and dry. But yeah, theoretically, allegedly, he told managers to scrape Slack channels for criticism and to fire those people. Elon may actually manage to improve Twitter in one way at least, end-to-end encryption. Okay, I didn't actually know this. End-to-end encryption. For DMs, maybe? For DMs.
Yeah,
okay,
apparently they're working on that, so that's cool. That's good. We gotta talk about the good and the bad. Cool.
And this is a good source. Jane is a good source, I will say. I didn't know that was from Jane. That's cool.
My favorite of the week, though, was the Thursday ultimatum, Twitter 2.0, asking Twitter staff to work long hours at high intensity and be, and I quote, extremely hardcore or leave. Apparently, this ultimatum was refused by hundreds of the remaining 2,900 employees on Thursday.
If I remember correctly, the original number was 72. 7,200. That's a lot less.
That's a lot less. Many employees told reporters that with so many people leaving, they expect the platform to, quote, start breaking soon, end quote, leading to yet another round of everyone on Twitter saying they're leaving Twitter and then staying.
That sounds about accurate. We also had a lot of stuff. We had people saying like, oh, Twitter's going to break in 2 days when Elon first bought it and stuff like that. I think it's going to take a little bit longer. Because the infrastructure systems are probably built decently well. Who knows? Some improperly managed system is going to fill a hard drive and things are going to break, or something random is going to happen. It's not going to get managed properly. But or it might just not. I don't know. I've said for a long time, well before we thought Elon might be buying Twitter, that they have far too many people on staff.
Yep,
and both things can be true. He can be firing too many people,
or the wrong people.
Far too many people on staff, and he could be firing the wrong people. Absolutely, that could totally be a problem. The way he's lowering his staff counts are far from perfect, and I'm not defending those.
If I was a superstar developer, Luke, I would be out of there. Like there is gone, of course. Absolutely no way.
There's two paths, right? There's either you're gone, or you take this opportunity to vie for just extreme position and extreme total compensation. You do one of the two, right? Because you either need your total compensation to like double and your position to just become like something wild that's going to be really insane on your resume, or you need to get out of there and get somewhere else. If you think that it can make it, taking this opportunity to vie for position could be good. That's quite the bet. And you might kind of not look that bright if you ride it all the way through to the end. So that's genuinely quite the bet. But yeah, I don't know.